feel like it's extra noisy outside today, and we are moving in about 2 weeks and I cannot wait to move to our new apartment. I am so over the noise pollution here. It has driven me nuts for the past couple of years, so hallelujah, we're moving out of here. But yeah, I'm sorry if there's any extra noise today. I live right next to a road. I don't recommend it. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. If you are new to my channel, my name is Georgia. I am British and I've been living in Singapore for almost 4 years now. So today I'm going to be telling you what not to do as an expat living in Singapore. There's certain things that I've picked up on over the past few years and I wanted to share my learnings with you guys today. So let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first point is don't get a car or a helper unless you absolutely need one. The cost of owning a car is freaking insane. It blows my mind every time that I still see so many cars on the road because it is so expensive to own a car. It costs on average 5 times more than it does to own a car in the US or Europe. You could probably afford for the same price a Lamborghini back home. Like, it's just so much money to own a car. So unless your company are providing you with a car, I would just stick to public transport. Public transport is your best friend in Singapore, and yeah, I mean, if you've got the money to afford a car, go for it, but in my eyes, it's a bit of a waste of money. And the same goes for a helper. I think it's really appealing, the thought of getting a helper to live at home with you and do your cooking and your cleaning, but I would say don't do it unless you really need one, unless you have a family and you maybe need a little bit of extra help. It's really easy to get sucked into that kind of thing. I'd say only get a helper if you really need one. Okay, so point number 2 is don't live the same life in Singapore as you would maybe live back home. What I mean by that is don't come here expecting to live the same kind of life. I think there's no point moving to a new country if you're gonna live the same kind of lifestyle. Really integrate yourself into local culture. I've mentioned this loads of times, but it's really important that you do that because otherwise there'd be no point living here, in my point of view. Like, what do you gain from living in a new country if you're not going to experience all things local and really integrate yourself? So don't expect to live the same kind of lifestyle as you'd live back home. On the same subject of that, don't get sucked in by the whole fancy schmancy expat bubble. I think it's very easy for people to get sucked into that. So yeah, just make sure that you're trying to speak to locals when you can, maybe learn some Singlish. Don't only have expat friends if possible, because you can learn so much from the locals. But one good thing about having expat friends is that you can have friends from all over the world. So I do find that really interesting, and that's something I wouldn't be able to experience back home. But yeah, try not to get sucked into this like glitzy expat bubble. Okay, this is just a little personal tip. I would say if you love sunbathing, like I do, or at least did, give your skin a break sometimes. Like when I first came here, I was sunbathing every weekend, literally like all day. I'm obsessed with the sun. I love being in the sun and I love lying by the pool. But you have to realize that over a couple of years, it's really going to take its toll on your skin. And I am not kidding you when I say that I have definitely aged quite quickly, I believe, over the last 3 years. Like, I've had all kinds of wrinkles and lines pop up all over my face, and I am absolutely sure that it is to do with the sun. So please take care with your skin. Make sure that you wear sun cream every day if you can, and yeah, just don't lie out in it for days on end, because you really will start to see a change in your skin. I mean, some skin can take it, don't get me wrong, but if you're quite fair like me, you're probably going to start notice a difference. So don't sunbathe all day long. Next tip is kind of don't think about what you're missing out on back home. It's very easy to be like, oh, I miss Tesco's and I miss the price of groceries, and obviously I do find myself doing that sometimes, but then I have to do a bit of reality check. Okay, you don't have Tesco or you don't have cheaper groceries, but look where you're living. Look at where you're living right now. So many people would swap lives with you in a heartbeat to get the opportunity to live where you're living. So don't take it for granted. Deal with what you have and just be grateful. Be grateful for what you have available around you. Next point is don't expect to feel settled straight away. after you move. It definitely took, I would say, a good 6 months for me to start to feel like, okay, this is home now. Start to feel a little bit more at ease. Yeah, so don't expect to come here and be like, oh my god, this is my new home and it's fantastic, because chances are you're gonna have quite a few culture shocks, as well as feeling homesick, missing friends and family, and kind of getting used to the new way of doing things. So that kind of ties in with, don't think about what you're missing back home, just embrace what you have, and expect to give yourself time to really settle. Okay, next one is a funny little one, but don't comment on how well the locals speak English. English is the predominant language in Singapore, so you don't need to be like shocked or surprised when they can speak English, like, oh, your English is actually really good, because they can speak English. On the same note, don't ask silly questions like, how do you say hello in Singapore? How do I say thank you in Singapore? Because they say it in English, but like, obviously if you want to know how they say it in Mandarin or Malay, ask that specifically. They're Singaporean, but they speak English, so try to avoid asking silly questions like that. I know at first it can be quite, so yeah, if you're asking questions like that, they're gonna just look at you like, huh? Okay, next one is don't go to Sentosa expecting a tropical paradise, because it's really not realistic. So Sentosa is actually a man-made beach, and I know if you like Google Sentosa, it looks like dreamy and wonderful, like this deserted tropical island. And don't get me wrong, there's some really lovely parts of Sentosa, but it is a man-made beach, so don't go expecting to like have clear waters and beautiful sand, because it's not quite the deal. But there are some really lovely beach clubs along Sentosa, and it's great to spend a day there on a sun lounger and swimming in the pool. But yeah, it's not really a tropical island, so don't go expecting to find one. Another point is, don't go to Singapore expecting doting customer service, because it just isn't very realistic, and unfortunately I find myself getting more and more frustrated with this as years go on. Try not to complain about anything, but this is one thing that it affects my mood, because when I go out, all I want is a bit of attention, a bit of customer service with like a human touch to it. But sometimes I feel like they literally just don't care, or they're not listening, or they just don't want to help me, and that really gets frustrating. So yeah, if you're in a restaurant, don't expect the waiters to be doting. Don't get me wrong, there are some places, I have a few favorites that they treat me amazingly, but a lot of the time you're gonna have to raise your hand to get people's attention. Things like even hello or thank you, don't expect it, because sometimes you don't even get a word. If any of you guys feel the same way as me, please let me know. If you're Singaporean, do you notice it, and does it frustrate you? And if you're an expat as well, let me know your thoughts. But I'm sorry to rant. I hate to rant. I usually avoid it, but it is something that, I don't know, I guess I'm quite passionate about it. Okay, and the last point, this kind of is related to the customer service thing, but no tipping. You do not need to tip in Singapore. GST service charge is 7%, and that's already added to your bill. So GST is already added, you don't need to tip. It's weird to tip in Singapore. I mean, if you're British, this isn't anything new to you, but if you're American and you're used to tipping, just put it straight back in your pocket. You don't need to tip here. Okay guys, I'm gonna wrap the video up here. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope these tips were helpful. Be sure to comment down below, let me know your thoughts. As always, if you are new to my channel and you want to see more from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you enjoy this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, because it really helps me out. It really does. You can also follow me on Instagram at @TheVintageVision if you want to see more of me. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one as always. Bye!